Hi, welcome back to Math with Kim. I want you to take a look at this. This is solving in proportion. So really what we're doing is we're solving for variables when we are using proportions. Now in this case, we've got ourselves a mixed number here, so it's not quite set up as a normal proportion. Now remember, this is not my first video on proportion, so if you did not watch the first that explained step by step, please go back and look at that video first. But this is just a continuation, so this is proportions take two. So if you remember our steps, we first cross multiply, thus forming an equation. So we put that equal sign in. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer so you can take a look at the first problem. Now, last step, solve for the variable or our unknown, right? That's what a variable is, our unknown. So in the first problem, you can see in example 1, we have 27 divided by x equals 4.5. Now that's a mixed number. So the first thing, and again, if you don't remember how to work with mixed numbers, please make sure you refer to my other video with fractions, changing mixed numbers into improper fractions, okay? So here we go. We're going to change this 4.5 into an improper fraction by taking 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9, okay? So that becomes the numerator, 9. Now you see we have a denominator here already, so we keep that denominator. Now I'm going to bring down my equal sign. I'm going to bring down my 27, and I'm going to bring down my x, because notice I didn't do anything with those. Only thing I did in the first step was to change my mixed number into an improper fraction. So now I have a proportion. Definition of a proportion, 2 equal fractions, okay? So now let's cross multiply. As you remember, that's our first step up here. So I always cross multiply towards the variable first. So I'm going to take 9 times x. Notice that's a cross multiplication. Or I could have went x times 9 either direction. Or I could have started, of course, with 27 times 2. But I started with x times 9. So I get 9x. Sorry, I want to make that more standard. So 9 times x. And even if you took x times 9, you're still going to get 9x. Bring down your equal sign. That's how we're making an equation, our second step. And then cross multiply the other direction. So we're going to take 2 times 27, okay? So 2 times 27, we get ourselves 52, okay? And now, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, my mistake. Doing too much math these days. 54, 27 times 2. We can always double check with Alexa. Alexa, what is 27 times 2?
27 times 2 is 54.
Just confirming. Now, last step, we need to get our variable all alone. And again, our last step, solve for variable. So how do we undo this? Well, multiplication is occurring between the 9 and the x. So to undo multiplication, we divide. And what we do to one side of the equal sign, we have to do to the other, right? So 9 divided by 9 is 1. We are left with our x. Comes down, bring down our equal sign. And just not to make any more mistakes, Alexa, what is 54 divided by 9?
54 divided by 9 is 6.
Reconfirming. So x in this unknown is 6, okay? So there's our steps. Now for the next one, this proportion is already set up for us as a proportion, 2 equal fractions. And notice, of course, I highlighted my variable. So I'm going to go ahead and start with our rules again. First step, cross multiply, then form that equation, and then solve for the variable. So we're going to follow those same steps. And again, I always multiply in the direction of the variable. So I'm going to take 12 times n, and I get 12n. Bring down my equal sign, and then cross multiply the other direction. 3 times 8, or 8 times 3, right? Either direction, we're going to get our 24. And then we need to, for our last step, get our variable n all alone on its side of the equal sign, right? So our last step to undo the multiplication occurring is to divide. And what I do to one side of my equation, I do to the other. 12 divided by 12 cancels to a 1, and we get our n all by itself, our variable. That's what we wanted. Bring down your equal sign. And 24 divided by 12, we don't need to ask Alexa that one, right? Should be 2. Okay, so that means the 2 goes in this numerator, and it's telling you that 2/3 is equal to 8/12. Review of proportions.